What if you could live the best of each moment in the best of today in the design of your legacy? I'd like to welcome Mirage to the Design Your Legacy podcast this lovely morning. Welcome, Mirage.
Thanks for having me, Angelina.
It's my pleasure to host you, and you're joining us from across the pond in Europe. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here in Hamburg, Germany, born and raised, and I always tried to leave from here, but it always got me back.
Yeah. Well, I would love to conduct this podcast conversation in German, but my German is rusty, so I commend you for speaking English, and I look forward to our conversation very much. So let me jump to the preamble if I can. We chatted a little bit
Mhm.
about the distinction between building a brand compared to performance marketing, and when we think about not just the entrepreneurs out there today, but also the individuals who care about their personal brand in the context of their legacy. Where would you start? Would you start with your grandfather and reputation, or where would you start out the listeners this lovely day?
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I did a video, and that was about that my grandfather most likely has the best advices when it comes down to personal branding because it is just a fancy word of old school reputation building, in my opinion. And you just use the digital tools we have nowadays. And it's the same idea. You want to do good and inform others about it, right? And if you were already Machiavelli is not a modern person, it is an old school person who also wrote about it, how to build a reputation. At least that's some part of what he wrote about. Yeah, today it's about how to use digital tools we have. And I have suggested to many people the same route because it is the best way to build something authentic with virality potential. That is, first of all, you need to find the right channel and the right format. In the end, not everyone is made for hosting a podcast show like you, Angelina. Not everyone is made to become a TikTok dance star, etc., etc. You need to find the right thing that is compatible with your personality. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and we got to be realistic because you mentioned me that most of your listeners are business owners, and I am a business owner myself. I did different ventures all through my life, and I know how busy you get. That means you actually don't have any time to do that kind of crap. Now to write scripts, now to write blog articles whatsoever. So just concentrate on one format that you would do anyway if you had all the money in the world. There's something. Some people like to write down their thoughts. Some people like to talk into the camera. Some people like to talk with others. Then it's podcasting. So find something that gives you energy because only then you can build up for the consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things you had mentioned is how important consistency is, as well as finding and figuring out that one core message. And I know one of the things you shared is that you have never sold the same plan or system to your base of customers, whether you're working with 40 or 50 different restaurants, insurance companies, etc. So even if there is this message out there to niche down, sometimes it has to be curated. Sometimes you really have to get a feeling for who it is you're working with, whether that's that high net worth individual who wants to create that personal brand for their legacy, or whether it is that business owner like you had shared that's in survival mode with a little bit of ADHD because they can't sit still.
Exactly. And then that's why I want to take some time to know the person who's in front of me. I take a lot of time actually into analyzing not only the person, but also the surrounding, how he is interacting, because this tells me way more than any kind of questionnaire about his personality and how much and what kind of people he respects. Because I will be honest, not everyone is respecting every human species, unfortunately. But then I can read it out and I see, look, he is very welcoming to his salespeople. Then let's record many videos about that topic. Or he knows exactly how to act on networking events. And maybe he's not so good to his staff, unfortunately. Then I gonna tell him, you need to improve it, get a coach. I will concentrate on your strengths, and then we're gonna build a format, a content series just around that.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I know that in your bio, it talked about just like a Michelin star chef crafts exquisite recipes, Raj designs strategies that are nothing short of a masterpiece. And you've got 12 years of experience working with influencers and businesses. So, can you share a couple of tips around what else works today, whether it's TikTok videos or understanding how to best navigate artificial intelligence, whether that's through prompt engineering or what works today, because it just feels like it's going so fast.
Don't get distracted by the fast pace because people actually recognize if you are real and take your time. You just change the format. If you're not into that fast pace, then maybe TikTok short videos aren't your thing. Luckily, there is also YouTube as an opportunity. I myself, to be honest, I tried several times to create TikToks, but I tend to dive too deeply into the topics. So only the real experienced marketers could recognize it, but I couldn't reach the masses. It's enough for me to make an extra buck to make get more clients and get into new networks. So it does its function, but I know some people out there, especially in your audience, might be triggered by getting their view numbers, get the like numbers. Then this person should start YouTube videos because you will get rewarded for taking your time into the scripting of YouTube. Maybe you just upload one video a week because you give it a good quality, also in the editing. People appreciate it. So go for YouTube. And if you don't like the editing, but would love to dive deeper, what about going live regularly? Because if you're live on Twitch or Instagram or TikTok, TikTok and Twitch are my most favorite channels right now. If you want to go live, talking with your audience for 3 or 4 hours. Let's face it, at least 2 or 3 good highlights will be out there for TikTok or for YouTube to cut it out from that 3 or 4 hours talk. Then you have also surf both platforms.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I think it takes tremendous courage regarding public speaking. And as you shared, some people are going to be ready for it, and other people are going to have to find their courage deep down inside. So it's very interesting because people want,
Practice
like
makes
you,
perfect.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because people want to see that authenticity. They want to see that that real deal on the camera of the person's face on the other side to know it is real, a real human being, and because we're craving to that trust factor.
On the one hand, but unfortunately, I have made also different experiences that people are craving for authenticity and yet would they want to consume your authenticity as easy as possible.
Mm,
So if you have multi interests, they don't want to hear about it. They want to look at you and say, "Oh, this is the car salesperson. Oh, this is the Mustang car salesperson, or whatsoever." And if you then tell them, "Hey, I also like to write romantic poems," they don't give an F about it because are not getting it. Our minds in our fast-paced world are overwhelmed if it gets too complicated. So yes, be authentic, but the authenticity to make it part of a viral content format also unfortunately means concentrate on one piece of your personality. Don't show everything.
oh, interesting. Because that was the next question I had for you. You had written to me about sharing insights on legacy building and storytelling for high net worth individuals. And I wondered if, let's say, somebody came to you and they were, I don't know, 30, between 30 and 40 years old, and they said, my
Mhm.
name is Bob or Sally or whatever their name is, and I'd like your help in with my personal branding. I wonder where you would start them off at.
So really is analyzing that person,
Okay.
the background. Uh, and also many conversations because I want to know where this person really wants to go. Because I have met more people who were telling me that they want to serve the world, etc., etc., but in the end, they just wanted to become famous, to be recognized for something. But they don't. They are not telling it this. I think in my 12 years of experience, only two person told me like, I want to become famous. I don't care about how you're gonna do it.
I think that's hilarious. Oh, that's kind of like they say sometimes in marketing, give them what they want or tell them what they want, but then give them what they need.
Oh, yes, exactly. This is big part. I didn't become so successful until the point I realized that because I was stubborn. I was telling the person, "Oh, you're telling me this, but actually you need that. Let me focus on what you need." And then the people felt attacked, like, I don't want to become famous. I'm not like that because my granddad told me I shouldn't become too famous. It's not about becoming too popular, too famous. It's about following a mission. I'm the good guy.
Yeah, it's
Don't take their
hilarious.
dreams from them. Just
Yeah.
serve their dreams.
Well, it's an interesting balancing act in designing one's legacy in terms of service to self versus service to others, because there is an aspect of it that's going to be service to self so that individual can find their sea legs and their values.
Mhm.
And then when they get their cup full, then their cuppeth can runneth over. But until they can sort out their identity and who they are in the mix of this beautiful, wonderful world, it's yeah, yeah.
Maybe we should make it a little plastic. I've had one person. It was someone around COVID, I think 2020 or 2021, the first or second lockdown. He came to me. He was actually a client of mine. He had a catering company. It was good, not the largest one. I think approximately 5, 6 million in revenue a year, smaller client. But he approached me and said, "Look, I have no revenue right now because of COVID. I can't send out the foods. So, is there something else I could do? Because I always wanted to become famous."
Mm,
And I tried everything. I was part of all those giveaways. I paid Floyd Mayweather to mention my name. I got followers, but unfortunately, it's all people around the world, and they can't buy me as a business coach, etc., etc. And I didn't tell him anything because I was so. First of all, I wasn't sure how should he be someone teaching others how to do business because he
mm,
wasn't so successful himself, to be honest. And unfortunately, I tend to have some form. I want to work with genuine people. So I
okay.
always told him, uh, "Are you sure? What is your expertise? What's your background? How many companies did you work with who got successful?" I think after 4 months, I got to him again because then I had a strategy, a perfect strategy for him. That was because of COVID, many restaurants struggled. And the years before COVID were phenomenally good for everyone in the food industry, right? Everyone in the restaurant industry could sell to anyone so much food. And my idea was, hey, at least you have a background of the restaurant and catering industry. He also had a small restaurant. Maybe we should call you the restaurant whisperer, and you are not the business coach anymore. You're only the coach to restaurant owners, to individual restaurant owners, not to the chains, because while COVID, everyone had help from the German government in every industry except the restaurant owners. So, how would it be if you would become the number one person for the individual restaurant industry and you give them free advices on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and only after a while give free value information out, and maybe I'm not telling you that we're going to sell courses. Might be because I want to get the vibe from your community and listen to them, whatever they need, and then we're going to build a service around it. And it took only, I think, 18 months. And then he had a $10 million profit business by coaching.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I kept wondering, like, well, why doesn't he do takeout? But you're right. That there was that niche there because he knew that market. He didn't have to go across the bridge to be someone he wasn't.
Yes, and the thing was, I wanted to make sure that he really gives value because, as
Mm,
I told you, he wasn't that successful,
mm,
but he had the minimum amount of knowledge to give to the new restaurant owners who just started in the past 10 years.
yeah,
Because many restaurant, if you open up a business in a very profitable era, let's face it, between 2012 until 2020, how many hypes have we had? Everyone was making money around me. They got credit from everyone. They got subsidies. I don't know how. It was a very good time actually for everyone. So they didn't get the lesson. The restaurant owners didn't know about, oh, maybe I should take more care about the profit margin. Maybe I should cut down the costs. Maybe I've hired too many waiters. Maybe I need to teach them to be more efficient. And so the very basic, at least he knew about that. That's why I thought it's still genuine if I put him as on a pedestal as the restaurant whisperer, and then he can sell courses at least to the very beginners.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's really wonderful. Sometimes we take for granted what it is that we know because it's so easy for us. Yeah, we think it's got
Yes,
to be like
100%.
something else. So very interesting. So let me loop back again to this question. Thank you for sharing that story. I loved it. You had mentioned storytelling for high net worth individuals. What other ideas have you come across, or do you see that could be legacy building material?
This is a little more challenging, especially in Europe, because you don't know what background the person in Europe has, on what side his family maybe was in the Second
Oh,
World War.
okay,
So this storytelling is always so complicated because you may make that person get known a little more,
okay.
but you need to tiptoe. Is it that word?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you bring that up because when we had this conversation in our preamble, in America, it's like they publish like Forbes and Fortune, like wealthiest Americans, top 100, whatever. But in Europe, they're a little quieter about it.
Because they know their grandpa did maybe something that uh, wasn't so nice. I don't want to get into the details because a lot of wealth is inherited here,
Hmm.
and you need to be aware of it. And the couple of people I worked with who built something up themselves, that's way easier. That's exactly what you've just mentioned, actually.
Okay,
Craft a very nice mission statement that doesn't only feel genuine, but rather I consult the person around, what do you really care about? Don't make it so easy that you're gonna invest money into children's education in Africa. This is the most basic thing. It doesn't put you that doesn't give you character. We need to find something that gives you character and then put you onto the Forbes magazine. Uh, if you are willing to, that you are a podcast guest, etc., etc.
okay. Well, it's interesting. I think an individual with a multi that's in a multi-generational family of wealth, there's a rite of passage that they go through to find their own values, their own identity, separate
Mm.
from the influence of their family that can feel larger than God sometimes. Because with money comes power, with money comes access, but there's still that individual's journey of who am I? Where do I fit in this world? What matters to me? And I know there's some individuals, I saw a documentary about it, and maybe perhaps it is even in Germany where some individuals that are inheriting wealth are giving a part of it away, whether it's because you're nodding. Do you know about this?
Yes, we have a drugstore giant who has multiple. He has the second largest drugstore chain in Europe, and he said he is not wanting that his child inherits anything from it. He wants to give it all away because he said he didn't earn it, he didn't work for it, so why should he get it?
Interesting, interesting. Yeah. Well, it's fascinating because, in the crossroads today regarding so anyone can design a legacy, but it's easier when somebody has resources. I mean, for somebody who doesn't have resources, they can plan a legacy based on their values and love is free. I mean, you can't love is the most
Mm.
powerful, priceless, the thing that we need the most. And so somebody doesn't need to have, a portfolio. And having said that, those that are affluent today, two-thirds of those individuals are self-made. And so I think it's very interesting for those what you had just mentioned, those individuals that say that they didn't earn it per se, their family gave it to them, and now there are all of these asset managers around them that basically go shopping globally to buy things with a return on an ROI, the return on income for their investment dollars. So it's a whole other type of lifestyle where then they have to find the hunger within themselves to develop. Because if when it's all given to them, it's interesting because I saw in this documentary that there could be two income earners that both have their college degree and they can't afford to buy a townhouse or a home,
Mm.
and yet somebody from a multi-generational family of wealth can swoop in there, and it is so easy because their family has that financial momentum from decades ago, even a century ago, etc.
Yes, 100%. And I read about the differences by country, how much of the wealth is distributed between inheritance and self-made, and Germany was the within the worst, like it's all inherited.
Mm,
But Europe in general was very bad. Like in the UK, it was also that two-thirds of houses are only sold to people who had support from their parents,
okay.
because otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford a house.
Which I think is also so interesting when you mentioned a moment ago that from an outside perspective, you can tell someone, here is where I think you are authentic. Because there might not be somebody in their circle of influence that can tell them that feedback.
Eh, I don't want to get too political, but somehow we ended up, especially in that is I think a little worse in the United States, is we learned so good to act, so good that to act in business, in the public, in the neighborhood, that we forget what we did actually came for. Why did you
Mm,
want to start your career actually?
yeah,
What
yeah,
was your mission when you were 12?
yeah.
Is it all just because somebody else told you that you need good grades, you need to get to a good college, etc.? So this is a quite a challenging thing. In Germany, luckily, we can be a little more honest. Like if you ask someone, "How are you doing?" Especially in Hamburg, there are so many people tending to tell you like the F. Why should I be doing good? Weather is shitty. The
Ah,
the taxes are heavy. I don't know what I'm working for. My kids hate me. So yeah, like in the United States, everyone is so friendly. That's why I hear from many German people who say Americans are not authentic. That's why I wouldn't even consider moving to America, because if you ask them how are you, everyone says fine.
well, I think a part of that is the socialization. Absolutely. Part of it is the culture for that baseline or landscape, and then I think part of it is not wanting to impose one's. Yeah, yeah.
But but
Oh,
but
that's
how
funny.
lonely do you get? How lonely do you get? Because you always have the feeling that you need to act.
Well, there's a loneliness epidemic in America. I don't know about other countries. I think Brene Brown did a TED talk about
Europe is
that.
bad as well. Europe is bad as well. East Asia is bad as well. Yeah, it's part if you are just career driven and your parents didn't teach you anything else apart from get good grades, go to a good college, get your career. No one else teaches you like, hey, if you want to get a good partner, this is the right time frame. If you want to take it serious, and if you want to have children, talk these points with your partner before. Who teaches you that? And like,
It
if you
has to
want
be
to,
taught in the home, or that individual needs to have some good coaches and advisors around them. Sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
Uh, yes, but your coaches are living off your money, your pocket. Your parents should teach it because they put you into this world. they should be responsible for this. And yeah, unfortunately, they can't anymore because in a household when I don't know about you, but in the household when a mom can't find time to cook regularly healthy food because outside, as I worked in the with many restaurant industries, it is too artificial. Even the healthy chains, it's a chain. They need to industrialize processes because it can't be so fresh as someone who is a mom pop restaurant owner.
Yeah, the cafe. It's interesting. I think sometimes what happens is when speaking in the context of legacy, the parents can say, "We would like you to go to this amazing university or college, whether it's public or private school," and then some of those real life practical skills get lost. But I will plug coaching since I am a coach. That I think it's one of the most amazing investments when it comes to one's inner world and personal development. Because if somebody ignores it, it becomes that blind spot, like that iceberg that grows and grows and grows. And then as they face life and relationships and challenges, if they didn't get the lessons early on, it hurts them later on because they're expected to know. It's assumed that they know. And if they didn't have those moments to like talk it through to know how do I handle this, this challenge, these sets of problems, it's like they're just lost in the middle of the ocean. And then you're right, then the pain really comes because they got to put on that brave face as if they do know the answers when they don't know. And then it's a matter of faking
100%.
it. Yeah.
100%. It was also a very interesting study, and the outcome, it wasn't intended, but the outcome was very interesting for me. I had the feeling that already before that study that it would be that way. They said a typical white American would need twice as much income to consider himself happy than someone from a Latino family.
Oh, that's
The
interesting.
reason
Keep going.
the reason is the family bond is making up the other half of the income
Yeah, it is
because you are
interesting.
happy with because of you're happy because of your family.
Well, there's so much connection. If you've got, let's say, three generations living in one home, or even just the because in the Latin culture, they'll even consider non-family members, they'll treat them like family because it's the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt the most welcome when I visit my Brazilian friend regularly because his mom is so welcoming, like
Yes.
unconditional love I feel from her, even though I just met her 20 times in my life.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's wonderful. And speaking of legacy, the Latin culture is just beginning to start to write down their family constitution paperwork, their family governance documents, etc., because it's such a culture where they share their life lessons and wisdom orally by conversation compared to writing down, this is what made our family business successful, or this is what, again, our family wants to be known for, what we stand for. Because again, if nobody talks
Love
about
it.
it, then it's presumed somebody will know. And sometimes we can't read people's minds.
Yes. Uh, Assuming that you know exactly what goes on in the person's mind is dangerous.
Yeah. Would you share any other insights you might have on legacy building? So we've got the consistency piece, the authenticity piece, also the piece about, the powerful questions of, what did you come here for? What mattered at age 12? What are their insights when it comes to legacy building? To
Mm,
turn a vision into reality.
yes, this is a little too individual because, as I said, it's not only the content format and the series and the way the output is like, is it written? Is it a video? Is it an audio? But then it's all about giving regular feedback because it takes some time until you realize what you actually stand for. Because, as I said, you haven't learned to speak for yourself. Because if you're too politicized in your surrounding, you are not supposed to talk about this topic. And you are not supposed to offend someone, even slightly. You need to be very friendly, etc., etc., so that you have learned so many ways how not to be actually honest. It is so hard for you to actually know what you stand for and how to formulate it. Because if you know how to phrase it, it takes some time. because you also need to condense it. Your mission statement, it doesn't matter how much marketing knows about it, or a PR magician knows about it. He can't condense it in your own words that much as if I would send you, Angelina, for the next 6 months and tell you, talk about your biggest coaching lessons.
Hmm.
And then after every time you talked about it, my team and I will go through and find the highlights. Hey, Angelina, I thought this is better example you've just shared today than this example you shared the last 12 times. Adjust this, please. What does make this example make that people feel it more plastically, or they can resonate with it? Oh, I've seen this was the first time because some people need some need to repeat themselves so often with what they have learned by heart until the genuine part comes out and says like, damn it, I don't want to do it that way anymore, like or the question was a little more detailed than the other people asked the person. Now the genuine answer came out.
Mm. And you're looking for those genuine answers. Yeah, I also want to circle back.
Like one person, to make it a little plastic, he
Okay.
always told like, I want to deliver the best burger.
Okay.
But it only, I think it took a really long time, 8 months, not 10 months, maybe,
Okay.
until in one interview he was genuine, and that gave him recognition. He said, actually, I wanted to make up that I had no father.
Wow. Oh, that just cut through.
Yeah,
And now he just became
and
memorable.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so many people who have no father also got that feeling like, damn it, yes, it's so hard to become a good man of value if you had no father yourself.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, and I want to circle back to something you had shared, and it was in prior podcasts that, let's say for a TikTok platform, if somebody's got like a channel just for them being a founder, but they may have never thought to establish that space where they could just speak about, what it is to be a founder, who they are, what they've had to go through, and all of, the
Ah,
A
yes.
to Z of, their individual path. And then their other TikTok channel could be, yes, buy my burgers, or the insurance product, or whatever the product or the service is. But I thought that was so interesting that you said like they also need to have a channel for them to just express who they are as that founder. But that gets missed sometimes, and yet that could be the bonding piece of like, oh, well, I'll try those burgers at 123 Main Street.
100%. Because as a business, you have different stakeholders, and you want to serve nearly all of them. But since no one has the time to go through all your videos to get what you mean, what you actually stand for, what about you just build one channel? Because then the algorithm also knows who you are and who you serve best. If you talk as a founder on your brand account, that is usually funny and it talks about burgers, and you just want to get rid of what you have in your heart about how hard it was to found that company, no one, it won't have that reach. If you just had established an account from day one about how you have built that company, or whenever you start, just talk about your everyday life, your everyday struggles, because that will show potential bookkeepers. Hey, why are you still doing this the wrong way? Hire me. I will give you a discount because I like you. I feel connected with you, and I can solve this for you. Or an IT specialist or a marketer can text you and tell you, hey, I really like you. I would love to work with you. Let's chat on the next exhibition of your
Yeah.
industry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before I ask you about the legacy portion of this podcast episode, I will tell you that the most challenging part, or the biggest lesson I've learned as a coach, because you asked that a kind of a moment ago, is what works is sometimes what the client needs is, and I don't want to say it's confrontation, but like you had said, just to cut through the noise and to challenge them
Yeah.
directly. But that's some of the, I mean, I think sometimes when somebody is confronted, it can be a little bit scary. Not to say that they're going to like reach across a Zoom screen and, slap you, but it's sometimes you don't know how it's going to land. Like sometimes they're going to go, "Oh yeah, darn it, you are right. Thanks for being so blunt about it." But other times you go, "Ooh, this will hurt their feelings if I just blurt it out as is." I think that's the biggest lesson.
100%. This is so important, especially because if you don't know your mission statement, you will just fake one. If somebody confronts you the first time about it, and you don't get the time to really carefully go into you and reflect on your past, you would just make up something like, I'm there just to get good vibes or bring people good vibes, or I'm there to help that the city of Hamburg is becoming more popular. No, you didn't care about it. When you were 12, you didn't care about it.
Yeah,
This is not
yeah.
your personal
Well,
mission statement.
yeah, well, it's like if they're lying to the advisor, to the coach, or to yourself, they're
Mhm.
also lying to themselves, and so you have to cut that pattern and call them out. But that's
But who wants to be vulnerable?
well, they're better for it.
Especially, yeah, but especially if I got there by recommendation, then they also know, damn it, Mirage and I, we are in the same circle. So if he knows, not I hope that the other persons will know, then it's even more tricky.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. The dynamics of all of it. But in the end, if they can do the rite of passage, then they can build a legacy and have some powerful storytelling. So, since this is a legacy podcast, what does this word legacy mean to you personally?
I have no romantic idea about legacy that I would I would want to be known for centuries, as it usually is for the if we think about legacy, we usually think about maybe Caesar
The
or
Stoics?
Confucius. Yeah, but I want to be the person I wished I would become when I was 12.
Mm,
I want to serve my 12-year-old version until today.
yeah. Well, he was innocent.
He was innocent, wanted to take over responsibility for the vulnerables around him, and wanted to be helpful in any kind of situation.
Okay.
That's why when I learned Mandarin and I talked with my at that time my Chinese elder sister, she wanted to teach me Chinese, and she got it. She said, "You are striving for wisdom, actually.
Mm,
You don't want to become successful for the money reason. You just want to be successful to get a lot of experiences, memories, so that you have always a wise answer." That's why
hmm.
my Chinese name is Wisdom.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's interesting. These days, there's a number of high net worth families that are, including Ivanka Trump, they're teaching their children. They're having their children learn Mandanese or Cantonese. I can't remember which one, but I thought, well, that's so interesting because a part of our conversation in the preamble is, will English be the global language? And then in Europe, because there's a mixing of so many different cultures, and I think, well, what if Mandarin Cantonese started to become that global language? So instead of having children learn like French or Spanish in grade school growing up, what if they start learning Mandarin Cantonese?
I learned Mandarin uh, in my bedroom, in my childhood's bedroom.
Okay,
Then I learned it online. And at school, I was in the only high school who offered Mandarin at the normal high school in
okay.
Germany and in my college. And to be honest, everyone I met who learned Mandarin alongside with me, maybe only two persons still speak it. Most of
Hmm.
the others already forgot it. So I don't put a lot of value into it if people tell me that they have learned it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the cultures are not meeting each other so often as we think of it. Like Chinese media, we don't have Chinese channels in Europe or in United States as we have CNN, BBC, Tele5. So we get some form of their media.
Immersion.
Apart from a few Jackie Chan movies, I don't get a lot of Chinese movies nowadays,
Okay.
but I still get all Hollywood movies. So I think it won't work. It won't work because we also in soft power. The soft powers are challenging each other. Yeah, and China strives for the dominance, but apart from online gaming, they are not so successful.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, kudos to you for expanding your mind. I agree with you completely. I learned French between age 10 and 16, but because I didn't practice it, it's not the same. And I learned Spanish in college, but because I was not immersed in a
Mhm.
country or an environment, it just you lose it.
Yeah, 100%. So I was pretty fluent actually. I could watch Taiwanese TV shows without
Okay.
subtitles and understand it. But once I married, I lost maybe 60, 70% of my Mandarin.
Yeah.
But now, since I have a daughter who speaks very good German already, she's turning 4 years old. I want to expose her to other languages because it's never too early. Just exposing, not teaching her directly.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. So let me circle back for a moment to this idea of designing a legacy. So oftentimes one's core values will be the pillars, like the chairs or like the legs to a chair. So if you could pick
Hmm.
3 or 4 core values for your legacy, what would you select?
uh, Gratitude on the one hand, because only then you get energy out of nothing, to be honest.
Mm, okay.
I am happy, I'm driven just by being there and being thankful for being who I am, getting what I get. It's challenging at the same time, but I do it with different kind of exercises, is also to be ambitious for all the challenges today to strive for 10x, 100x, etc. So yeah, these are the two pillars already. And the third one is I want to become the best version of a dad I could ever become.
Wow, how cool. I think family does matter.
100%. This is everything.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. If you were to set aside a weekend or two a month to design a hardcover coffee table book of your personal legacy, what images, stories, life lessons, business lessons, etc., would fill its pages?
Oh, I can't phrase it perfectly, but the answer would be it doesn't matter how hard the circumstances might be. It really is worth it to be a valuable person. Like you stand to your values
Okay. Okay. So what,
because it's worth way more to sleep like a baby because you have done nothing wrong
okay.
than whatever else you could gain out of it.
That's a wonderful life lesson and a business lesson.
It's both because I was working with different industries and some of the industries I wouldn't work ever again with because I saw how fast people get lost and they lose everything just in terms of because they thought oh, I can get a million very fast or 10 million or whatsoever.
Okay, so what were the ends justified the means?
Yes,
Interesting.
too fast, and that happens too fast. And it's always the one time. So the first step, you sell your morals, is the beginning of the end.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Yeah, that almighty dollar. Although these days it could be changed in the currency, it could be a new semantics. Interesting. What images or pictures would also fill the pages of your ideal hardcover coffee table book?
An AI generated version of myself who is 90 years old and still on his office desk.
Very cool. And I know one of the things we talked about is happiness and being able to enjoy life. And you had shared the
Yes,
story about, being able to take cloth and work with a tailor so it is precise and not just accept, let's say, fast fashion. And so I think that's something that speaks to the quality of one's life and slowing down to enjoy the details.
100%. If you'd see me cooking, And it is not only a metaphor because I'm not a Michelin star chef, but in my world, I pretend to be, and it works perfectly fine. It's already on a Monday. I'm already looking forward for me cooking on Saturday. That I already make a plan. What vegetables should I get? What are part of the season? What ingredients are better at that time of the year? What does my body actually need right now? Does it need heat? Does it need cold? Then I go into the recipes. What recipe am I pretty good at? Not perfect, but at least decent. And then I'm already happy for the first time when I'm cutting the garlic with my own hands. I still use just a simple knife, and I have my fingers on the garlic. I love it if I touch the things, smell the things, then go if the garlic meets the olive oil in my pan, and the first smell, and a little chili. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be alive.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. I hope you have images of that in your hardcover coffee table book.
It could be as well. Maybe I have a kitchen on the left and my desk on the right.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting. Oftentimes, people, if they do have a hardcover coffee table book, it'll be like of the fashion designer Tom Ford or Architectural Digest of the, something or the Greek museums of the. And then I always think, what if it was your personal legacy book or your family or your family of the last 100 years, in terms of that long-term vision. And I think that would be so much more
Yes.
rich when it comes to quality and the depth of character and that connection to one's past so that they can. Yeah, you're nodding. Tell me why you're nodding.
Yeah, yeah, well, I get it 100%. I just got the perfect phrase right now because I was looking for it before. So I'm striving to become, to be the most value I could ever be for as many people as possible.
Okay.
I want to serve
Okay.
because serving is making me so happy because I know people need me and I deliver value. They get a better life out of it. Doesn't matter if it's my clients because I also know that I served them getting somewhere where they wanted to go, where they were frustrated they didn't get one step ahead. And yeah, so definitely that's my mission and I'm striving for it and I'm getting closer and closer every day. So I'm thankful also for every day I am living on this world.
Oh, that's beautiful. Are there any closing thoughts that you would like to share regarding being a strategist and an entrepreneur who helps businesses craft meaningful brands and legacies, including your website of how somebody could reach you?
So I love to have the meaningful conversations with people. So if someone out there is also trying to figure out what his mission statement is, his personal mission statement, or what could be the best strategy to find out his personal branding, I'm open up for this. I'm active on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, all with the same handle. It's IMMERAG. I am Mirage. And I'm always looking forward for an exchange of ideas, experiences, because that makes each other more wiser.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I did have an opportunity to check out your Instagram page, and it's full of good advice and short videos that will drop some good tips and hints around everything that we talked about today.
Do we still have a couple of minutes?
I do. I do.
Okay, cool. Because
Yeah.
um, I was always proactive in my life. Like if I wanted to get my idea to a certain person, even though if that he's part of a certain billionaire family of Germany, I could reach that person. And
Okay.
the same was with knew that I want and need a certain person as my wife
I know. I read
because
that
I
on your
always
LinkedIn
imagine,
profile.
yeah, and I was so sure like I need that kind of person even though it might get tough because I want to grow. So that means that we might have some conflict from time to time because we need to challenge each other. But I need it. And my children need it. Because if I want to become a good dad, the first step would be already to find the right mate, right? So I was always considering, could she be the good mom my children would need? How would the children look like when she was the mama? Because it's not my genes only; it's her genes as well. So be the mixing up of this. So even then, I was considering I don't want to waste my time on dating on Facebook, on Tinder. Tinder was new at that time. I considered personal branding. I used what I sell to my clients. I used myself, and we're talking when personal branding wasn't a buzzword at that in that time and era. It was 2014, 15, 16. And I said, where can I find online the potential type of character? So I was part of Facebook groups. I was part of Instagram exchange with certain people where I knew along his following there are potential women. If they are
Mm,
interested in that person and they see always my comment as a top comment, they might
mm.
get interested in me as well. So, or in on the Facebook groups, I always talked about how I would imagine a perfect marriage, a perfect parenthood, etc., etc. And that led to be the first part of my funnel. So people texted me, commented on my posts, and of course, the landing page was my Instagram page and my Facebook page, where they could see more about me. And when they texted me, then I knew what questions to ask, and I improved that questionnaire actually to get if is that person really matching? Is there a better chance that we it would work out? If it works out, then I need to call her. Then I need to meet her. And by time I reduced the number of calls, number of meetings until I got okay, a person need to be authentic if I want to marry her because I can't stand fakeness. I can't stand fakeness because I have so many fake people around me. If you are working with famous people, and yeah, and she was the most authentic person I've ever met. And she texted me on a Friday. We called on a Sunday. The next Friday, I flew to Switzerland because she is living there,
Okay.
and I never did it for her. I told the girls to come to me because I was busy building up my business. And she was the only one I flew to because she was so genuine. She wrote to me the same way as she was on the phone when I called her. That made me like, I need to meet her immediately because otherwise I fall in love in the picture I have of her. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I flew to Switzerland. I met her. She, as a joke, she mentioned like, it goes so fast. It feels like next week you would go to my dad and ask if you would propose to me. And by the end of the dinner, I told her, "Can you call your dad?"
Oh, that's wonderful.
She,
I would
she
think you're
thought it was a
heartbeat.
joke,
Yeah. Well, I would have thought that if I could put myself in your shoes for a moment, my heartbeat would have been racing from the start to the finish because you're getting exactly what you want. You're not settling.
but it felt so natural.
Mm.
From the moment I met her in Zurich, I felt like, damn it, I know her from somewhere. Where do I know her from? And we immediately started a conversation. It felt like we just missed each other for an hour. So it felt really natural. And I met her dad actually one night after that already.
Yeah.
And I drove to another city in Switzerland and talked with them. I was very honest. I said I had a couple of successful businesses, I had a couple of failures, but if I'd put myself in your shoes and if I had daughters, I would rather give my daughter to a man who proved his morals in bad days.
Mm. Mm.
he loved that. He loved that. Now I have three daughters myself. Now I need to find the right, the same kind of. If a guy came up with that sentence, then I need to accept it.
Well, I think what's brilliant about what you just shared is, I mean, you thought about what you had learned and then you applied it to real life. Like when somebody talks about demographics or psychographics, you thought to yourself, where would this person hang out? Okay, if they're online, they're going to hang out with this certain Facebook group. And then how do I mean, you're kind of thinking about like, birds of the same feather flock together. So like, let's say hypothetically, it was like a motivational speaker, like a Tony Robbins or a Brandon Burchard. I'm just making this up right now. Then you know that that
Mhm.
individual would have a positive mindset where they're striving for more. So you figured, okay, well, then I have to hang around where those people are hanging around, not go to the local bar in Berlin just because it's
Exactly.
physically close.
Exactly. 100% like that because I wanted to make sure really I have high standards if it comes down to my own life. At least I'm willing to go the extra mile. And
Okay.
as you said, it was about the same interests. And also, it was this thing what I mentioned earlier that I needed to do something that also gives me energy. So if I
Mm.
was in a Facebook group about romantic poems that was not purely romantic, but also realistically, like I wrote mini poems about how tough it is to have a romantic relationship nowadays if both are striving for careers.
Absolutely. Because you got dueling providers then that both want to wear the pants.
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. And both need it for their egos.
Yeah.
It's not bad to have an ego and you want to feed your ego. It's not bad. Everyone has it. And in my opinion, also, everyone has some form of narcissistic traits. It's just that maybe you're comfortable. That's why you have it under control. But show me your face at bad times. Would you share the last piece of bread? Really? With your neighbor? I'm not sure.
Oh, you're awesome. You're awesome. That's honest. That's authentic.
Yeah, and that's how I've built my personal branding at that time. And the first time I've built my personal brand was at high school already, because I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that I will have a good career. And I was wearing a suit for the last 2 years of high school. I was wearing a suit every single day with a tie, a full on suit. And you could always see me with a Red Bull because I wanted to show that I'm a high performer. If
Mm.
you see me always with a Red Bull and you always see me active, and if you always see me, oh, he has decent grades, and still after the normal school, he has Chinese, then he goes to the Korean school, then he also goes there and does these activities. How does he do it? Oh, of course, he's a high performer. He takes Red Bull. Oh, why is he like at that time, Wikipedia was better accessible because the mobile phones just started, like iPhone 3 just started, and people weren't used to asking every question to Google and Wikipedia. And I answered every question that came up in the conversation around me. I answered it. So I reduced my personality at that time and made it easier understandable for the people so people could describe me very well. And everyone described me the same way. Wannabe know-it-all, a high performer, and wearing a suit, a careerist. So that was the first time I learned you can create yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a marvelous story. They also talk about like regarding fashion and how we dress. Like if you want to work with millionaires, how would you dress? Or if you would like to work with
Yes, of course.
billionaires or the most successful individuals, how would you dress? Would you just be so casual or would you give respect to that opportunity? Okay. Well, on that note,
A hint I would give is it's not about your fashion. It's about how you eat and what you eat, what you
mm,
order.
okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Because
Yeah. I have to wrap up in a second, but any other thoughts quickly?
no, that's I had a very lovely conversation with you. I'm looking forward for the next one. I can't wait for it. Really, this is my genuine last thought. And once I ever started with my own podcast, I would love to have you as a regular guest over there and get to know you more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, well, for the essence of time right now, I will say that thank you for being a guest. We started out today's conversation with the intention of what if you could live each moment in the best of today when designing your legacy? And you spoke about in our preamble about a TEDx speaker of I think his message was live your legacy. So I think we fulfilled that business promise today, and I appreciate some of the highlights that you mentioned, regarding, what is it that gives you character, crafting a nice mission statement, and whether you inherit your wealth or if you are self-made, understanding that internal world of what did you come here for and what mattered at age 12. So thank you, Mirage, very much for your time today. Before I read my closing paragraph. Okay, in closing, I'm Angelina Carleton, the hostess of the Design Your Legacy podcast, as well as the founder to Legacy Planning, a boutique advisory firm based out of Beverly Hills, California, USA, but international in those I coach and consult. I hope to dive deep into subjects that can help a person define, develop, and execute their legacy, and continue to scour the landscape for those who can be great resources to every dimension of your legacy. For many listeners, there can never be enough education and preparation in the moot or moat around your castle. Whether you find yourself with new wealth or generational wealth, may the content on this channel be an anchor in any storms ahead. We do our best to provide original content for your intellectual and emotional curiosity. If you're tuning in today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud, etc., please remember to rate and review, share with your family and friends. And if you'd like, share your thoughts and feelings via email with either Mirage or myself. So thank you so much for joining us this week. And thank you, Mirage, for speaking into your legacy.